Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I am Angelie.
And I'm Sarah. Together with our team, we are Mountain Point Academy.
We are so excited to share insights into education with you and hope that you can find value in these conversations geared toward fostering lifelong learners. Let's talk.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. We are so happy to be here today. Today, we're going to talk about gratitude. And it's such an important topic that is overlooked by many, but we'll talk a little bit about what it is. Some might not know exactly what gratitude is, the benefits of gratitude, having gratitude, experiencing gratitude, and then also how to practice it. So let's jump in. So what is gratitude exactly?
Yeah. Well, so
what is gratitude to you, Angelie, first? How about that?
Okay. Well, then that's a different question. So I think for me, gratitude is just recognizing the things in your life that you're thankful for. Even if it's a little thing. I remember 2018 was a really rough year for me. I was noticing that I had some negativity that I wanted to clear up. And so my resolution for 2019 was every week, I'm going to reflect back on my week and write down the things I was grateful for within that week. Even if I'm having a crappy time, I'm really frustrated. Like every Sunday, I'm just going to sit down, reflect on my week, and write the good things that happened. And the beginning of 2019, it was actually really hard for me to find the good because I was in a negative space. And so it started out as some, little things like, oh, hey, my friend sent me a text, or somebody smiled at me at the grocery store, just whatever, just tiny little things. And then as I kept consistently doing this, like I literally had slips of paper, I would put them in a jar so that on the next New Year's Eve, I could look back and see how my year was, right?
Cool.
And so I kept up with it. Like I stuck to it because that was something simple for me. And my whole goal, kind of back to what we talked about last week, I did have that inner motivation because I was like, I don't want to be this negative person. I've not been a negative person in my life, and I don't like who I've become. So I did this practice. And it was interesting as the weeks went on, the papers just got longer and longer because I was finding more and more good things in my week, even though, 2019 was the year I got divorced. I had to sell my house. Like my whole world imploded. Mm-hmm. And yet I could still find things to be grateful for, even through the hardships. And so it was really interesting when I, beginning of 2020, looked back on my whole year, I could reflect back and be like, oh, hey, yeah, I had a good year, even though all these awful things happened. And so to me, gratitude is like huge. It's something so simple that even through, your darkest times or the most frustrating moments when you're just like, why is life dealing me this hand? Like, why do I have to do this? Why this struggle? I was still able to find the happy moments. And like I said, even if it was something small, like a niece or nephew coming and saying, hey, I love you, oh, hey, that's awesome. Like you can be grateful for the little things to kind of give you that positivity and optimism. And so to me, gratitude is huge because it's just, it gives you the hope when things are kind of falling apart. And so that's what gratitude means to me.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like what you're describing as a mindset shift.
A little bit, yeah.
More than anything, because it's a thing, right? Having gratitude is being appreciative of somebody or something, or being thankful for something. But like what you're describing is like a full-on mindset shift of finding the good things through even maybe some of the roughest times you might be going through, and noticing them, just simply noticing them, because how much do we take for granted? So you can either choose to focus on everything that's possibly going wrong in your life, or you can pick out those little nuggets of good.
Yeah.
And just notice it. Be thankful for it.
Yeah.
And you start, and it kind of cascades. Like you start noticing more and more, like you've experienced, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, let's face it, life is mundane. 90% of your life, you're doing the same thing on repeat. Like, how do you find the gratitude or the good moments in the, oh, I have to pay the bills. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to run the kids here. Like, it's so monotonous sometimes that it's like, ugh, why, how can I be grateful for this? Because it's just repetitive and nothing feels exciting, but it's those little moments of just reflecting every day. And interestingly enough, that is one resolution that I still do to this day. So I've kept a journal ever since 2019 was the first year I did it, and that one I did slips of paper in a jar. Now I just have a journal, and I just keep it in a journal, and every Sunday just write down all the fun good things I was grateful for and then reflect back on it at the end of the year. And so now we're approaching 2023. So I'll have, all of those years in this journal to reflect back on. And it is. It's kind of like that embracing a mindset shift. Like, I know we have, Thanksgiving kind of push. Oh, hey, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? But who says it only has to be at Thanksgiving that we reflect on gratitude and what we're grateful for?
Right.
Those tiny, simple shifts that I think can make the biggest difference in your life, especially if you're in a place of overwhelm or frustration or negativity where you just give up on life and you're just like, oh, this sucks. Why me? Why is this happening?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And there are so many benefits to it selfishly, like on why you should practice that, having that daily or weekly gratitude. It's been shown that people will sleep better. Yeah. They have higher self-esteem. Like, there's just so many benefits to writing it down or just noticing those things in your life that you're grateful for, which seems crazy. Like, how can just doing some simple positive noticing of those items in your life, like, how can that affect your mental health? But it does.
Yes.
It plays a big part. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well. And you spoke to it, we have those stories in our heads that we tell ourselves, like, oh, you're never going to be good enough, or, oh, hey, so-and-so has it better, or they're more accomplished. Like, we all have that inner critic that speaks to us on repeat. So by writing things down that you're grateful for, or even if, things that you accomplished that week, that's something to be grateful for. You can write those down. Just writing it down starts to make those little mental shifts in your brain, kind of changing that pattern of the story that you're telling yourself. Like you said, speaking to the confidence and self-esteem, right? Is if you can start changing that narrative that's on repeat in your head, then that's where you'll get to a better place, because we all have something we're dealing with. There's a lot going on right now. Sickness is running rampant and just mental health and all sorts of things, poverty, all sorts of stuff. And everybody has something. I think that's what we forget in this journey called life, is we think, oh, I'm the only one that could be possibly experiencing this. No, you're not. Everybody has something. There's a battle that everybody is fighting that we probably know nothing about. Even our family members or our best friends, they're probably dealing with things that we don't even know the depth of. And so if we can all just be a little more kind, show a little more gratitude, not only to ourselves, but to each other, I think that would go miles to just helping people connect again, but also just feeling better about themselves in general, because I think it is such a comparison-driven society where we have, social media where it looks like everybody's life is perfect. And I mean, example, I keep going back to Twitch, right? Like, he was a super happy, super guy, great family, all this successful career. And then he took his life, right? We never know what's going on. And then people are paralleling that to Robin Williams as well. You never know the silent battle that people are fighting. And so if we can all just show a little more gratitude and reflect on our own lives to show gratitude, like, how different could that be? How could we help switch the narratives in our mind and give ourselves that hope to kind of keep going a little bit further, even in the midst of crappy situations?
Right. That's so funny that you say that, because just a couple of days ago, somebody I know that, deals with essentially chronic depression, just shared this with me. Like, you know what? I smile because I'm expected to.
Yeah.
And we don't know, like from the outside, it appears like others are, have this perfect, happy life, but we don't know. So all we can do is find the good things in our own lives, show gratitude. It will make us more gracious to others, more forgiving to others, more understanding of others. Like if we're noticing those things that we're grateful for, we can project that outwardly too, and show others more compassion and more grace. And it's kind of like that little butterfly effect, where just giving somebody a simple smile, like a stranger on the street, might change their whole day. So having gratitude in our own life, it carries out to others that we come in contact with too. So you started talking about ways to practice it and ways that you practice it. I like the idea of journaling.
Yeah.
I have several friends in AA, and one of the things they do is they start off their day with a gratitude list. It's like one of the first things they do. Mm-hmm. There's something to it, obviously, right? If it's being practiced in AA, like, okay, there are some benefits here. So I love that idea. I love doing it. It sounds like you do it weekly. Mm-hmm. But I love the idea of trying to do it as often as you can. If you can get up in the morning and start off your day that way, I think that's awesome. And it just puts you on a great trajectory, whether or not you just make a list and then toss it or put it in a jar or whatever. Or if you have a long running journal, I think that would be personal preference. Yeah. Or maybe you don't write it down, period. I don't know. Maybe you just reflect on it.
Yeah. Well, and that's something. So yeah, even though I, write it down weekly, each day I kind of take a mental note of, oh, hey, that was great. This was a highlight of the day. And then if you're the praying type, you can go and pray, say a prayer of gratitude, thanking God for your blessings. And, that's powerful as well, because then you're kind of recognizing and drawing on that higher power to recognize, hey, my life's not as bad as I thought it was. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think, meditation, gratitude journal, prayer, those are all great ways to 100%. Kind of show that and express it and practice it. But also something that I have found to be powerful is, thank the people in your lives. Like if they did something, or your mom has done a lot for you, just send her a quick message. Hey, Mom, thanks for everything you've done for me. Or you're thinking of a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, like write them a note. People love getting snail mail. It's like, hey, this is so cool, because it's not normal.
Because normally you get junk mail in the mail. You don't get anything cool in the mail.
Yeah. So I think even just writing a note of gratitude to someone, or, we've kind of lost the art of sending thank you cards for events as well. So like, if you're getting married and you have a shower, send out those thank you cards. Or you had a baby shower, send out those thank you cards. Like practicing the gratitude just helps you, reconnect to this idea of, oh, hey, there's still good. I have good in my life, even though I'm dealing with this and that, and I can't pay my mortgage, or, whatever is happening. And like I said, it was a really interesting, I don't want to say experiment, but it was an interesting phenomenon that I saw when I was, like I said, 2019 is when I started this gratitude practice. By August of that year, my marriage was over. And I was like, whoa. And then reflecting back, I could still, when New Year's Eve rolled around, I could still reflect back and say, oh, hey, look at all these good things that happened, even though I had to sell my house, my marriage was over, all these things. And I could look back and smile, which I thought was interesting, because I was like, dude, I just got divorced. Like I just moved back in with my parents, and here I am smiling and am grateful for the last year of hell that I just went through. Like, how does that even happen? It was a weird phenomenon to me. And I was like, and I feel peace. Yeah. Like it was such a weird kind of dichotomy, because again, I think society portrays it as, well, divorce makes you bitter, hateful, angry, mad. You go through those stages of grief. But for me, because I was practicing that gratitude, I could look back and say, oh, hey, but look at the good that came and look at where I'm at now. Look at what I've learned. Like, it's so interesting how just that little shift can kind of,
it's so powerful,
change the perspective. Yeah.
And like that one thing that I have experienced just that's been beneficial in my own life is starting to do a little bit of volunteer work too. Because it gives you perspective. So I took my girls because, they're young still, but I was like, hey, you know what? I want them to start experiencing what it's like to help others that are in need. And so we went to go sort shoes that were going to get shipped off to Africa for people who didn't have shoes. Right. And we've done this several times because it's been a really cool experience, but it's eye-opening. And my young girls are even like, oh, like these little girls, like they were just so excited. Like these little girls will love these shoes, little 4-year-olds, like they're going to love these. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you know what? They're going to love these shoes. Like this is a cool thing we're doing. And they, even at a young age, they understood I have shoes. I have several pairs of shoes. Some people don't have any.
Yeah.
And that helps with the mindset shift because how easy do we find, we call it, we laugh about it on like memes and stuff like that, where we say like, first world problems, ha ha ha. Right. Yeah. Because it's funny, but it's comical because we can recognize that we complain about the stupidest mundane things when other people have it way worse than us. So just having that perspective and reminding yourself like, hey, you know what? Maybe life is tough. And a lot of us here, go through those problems too, homelessness and, losing jobs and awful, awful things. But if you look hard enough, there's a good chance you're going to find something to be grateful for. So
yeah, for sure. And I know that for those listening, I know that when you're in that space of kind of despair and negativity and you're spiraling, like it is hard. It is hard to find the gratitude. I've been there. But just get started. Just start small. Like I said, if it's, hey, so-and-so said hi to me today. Great. Hold on to that, right? Hold on to that little piece of gratitude. They recognized me. They saw me. Mm-hmm. And that will kind of help catapult it into this routine of recognizing gratitude. And yeah, and I share my experience just so that others can see that it is kind of life-changing when you can start to make those little shifts, because then you can recognize, even though I just had the worst day, it was so stressful, at the end of the day, you can be like, but hey, there was still good in this day, right? And it's interesting how even that little shift can just change your outlook for the day and just give you that little bit more kind of energy and momentum to keep going, because it does get, like I said, mundane and frustrating and monotonous. It's like, oh wow, this is all life is I just work every day until I die. Like that's cool, But if you can find those little moments of gratitude in every day, you'll be amazed at the shift in perspective and kind of the things that can happen. So, and if any of you have an awesome gratitude practice that you've seen that makes a difference in your life, please share. We're always looking for new ideas, new ways to implement it, because again, we're all on this journey called life. We all have different paths, but similar experiences, and we can all help each other out. And I think gratitude is a good place to start, because like Sarah said, you can kind of emulate that out to other people, and then they'll say, oh, hey, I want what that person has, right? Let's be more like them, or let's connect and let's come up with a solution and work together. I think we need a little bit more of that in humanity.
100%. Cool. Well, share your stories with us. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you at the next episode.
See you later. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode and you learned a bit more about the power of education. If you liked this episode, be sure to share it with your friends. Our goal is to get the rising generation excited about lifelong learning so they can continue to improve their quality of life, not only through formal education, but through the love of learning by exploring their talents, passions, and dreams. And if you have a student or you are a student, Be sure to continue to listen for exciting Career Day episodes to help you figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And if you are on the fence about online learning or aren't sure if it's the right fit for you or your student, we are doing free consultation calls at mountainpointacademy.com/let's chat. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.